So today we're talking about the RV tire safety and why it's important that every RV owner should make this a top priority before you take any trip.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We're Bryan Luann Street, and this is the RV Living Show. We have a RV lifestyle website that offers encouragement, education, and inspiration for your RV life.
Yeah, and a big welcome to everybody out there who's watching us live and those who are watching the replay.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking today about RV tire safety.
Very important subject.
It is important. It's not super exciting, but we're going to make it as fun as we can right now.
Yes.
Because it's important to be safe when you're on the road. Traveling down the road in your RV is a huge responsibility. And if you're a full-timer, your whole life's riding on tires. So we just want to make sure that you're implementing some of the important tips that we've learned in our life, and we wanted to share them with you today.
That's right.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about is to know the age of your tires.
That is very important right there, because tires age out from the moment they're starting, when they start, from the day they're manufactured. They have a lifespan. Some of them will be around maybe 5 years, some may be 10 years. It all depends on which type of tire you have. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Why that's important is that even though we're driving our RVs, down the road, we're not generally putting that many miles on our tires. You may walk by that tire and it look like it's got plenty of tread left, got plenty of miles left on it, but there could be after years there could be cracks or stuff going inside that tire that could be a very potential problem to your safety.
Right. So it's the unknown that you don't know about. And so there's some manufacturer recommendations that are universal, but also unique to different tires.
Right. One thing you don't want is an old tire, especially one that was create a blowout in your, because not only the potential danger of you're driving down the highway, you definitely don't want to blow out in an RV, but the damage it could cause to your RV itself.
Or your life.
Yeah. Your life.
We don't want that.
So looking at some tires, like we took the tires on our RV and I looked up their Michelin tires. I went to the manufacturer and they said that they recommend changing them before 10 years. So, but they did say after 5 years, every once a year, you need to have these tires inspected by somebody who knows how to check tires. And because obviously after 5 years, they're aging. There's things just be going wrong with them. I know a lot of RV owners, including myself, wouldn't want to drive tires much past maybe 6 or 7 years, just because of the safety factor of it.
And so that's a tip too. If you're buying a used RV, you want to check the date codes, right?
Yes, you want to check the date codes, and that way you can just kind of get an idea how much life is left in that tire. And another thing about the date code is when you go buy a new tire, make sure, especially in an RV, that they're putting a tire on there that's fairly new, a couple months old, maybe not one that's a year or year and a half old, because you've already lost that much of the life of your tire. If you're not familiar with date codes, we have a slide to kind of go over that. You'll find your date code printed on your tire. It's in a little oval. It's and you'll find it most likely it's only printed on one side of your tire. Hopefully it's the one that's facing out. If not, to find your date codes, you may have to actually get down and crawl around underneath your RV, or actually maybe find the teenager do it for you or something along that line. But anyway, if you look at this date code I've circled here, this is the last part of the code, and it says 0918. What that stands for is the 09, it stands for the week it was manufactured, and 08 stands for the year. So this tire was manufactured in 2018, to the 9th week of 2018. Looking at that date code, that tire is over 2 years old now. So that's something to think about when you're buying an RV, or because you want to get as much life out of your tires as you can.
That's right. I know that when Bryan and I put new tires on our last RV, when they came in, Bryan was actually at work, and I they said, well, you can come get it and come see the tires or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't know much about tires, but I did know about the date codes. And they were a little older. Like they weren't in the last like 2 or 3 months. And I told them, no, I'm not taking those tires. You need to get more recent ones, because when you spend that much money on RV tires, you want to make sure you get your mileage out of them. Yeah,
we got one. I think we still ended up a couple of months old because there was none available for that size for our RV.
Yeah, but it did get
bring
closer.
It up, did a little closer up for sure.
So, yeah, so just set your expectations up front with the people providing your tires that you're not going to take them unless they're within a month or 2 or whatever you decide that you're good with when you decide to buy tires.
Yeah, tell them when you get ready to purchase those tires to make sure the date codes are good, and they know exactly what you mean by that.
Yep. Okay, is that it for the date codes?
Well, that's it for date codes.
Okay.
What's the next thing here?
So we're going to check with, we said that, check with your tire manufacturer. So now we're going to talk about tire pressure.
Tire pressure, important subject, because we got a lot riding on our RVs, a lot of weight. These things are heavy. Tire pressure is very important so that tire can maintain the proper load that it was built for. Now, when you go to your RV, matter of fact, you'll have a chart somewhere on. Matter of fact, I have a chart somewhere on mine. Do you see this? Let's pull it up there.
Let me do that. Well, shoot. Hang on, guys. There we go.
Here's a tire pressure chart. I found this on the door of my RV. Now, you may find one, next to the driver's seat, but this is going to tell you what the cold inflation pressure should be for your RV. Mine is set at 100 PSI for the front and the rear.
So why cold?
Well, cold is how you measure the tire pressure. Like when you get up in the morning and before you're ready to hit the road, before the sun gets on your tires, that's when you want to check their tire pressure. That's what they call it, the starting point. Their ambient, what do they call it? The
ambient
temperature.
Ambient
that's
temperature,
exactly.
Yes.
So that's where you check your tires at, and that's where you set them at. From there, as your tires warm up, they will increase in pressure throughout the day. But this is where you start right here. You definitely want to go by the manufacturer pressure. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit next week, when you actually weigh your RV and they get true weights on each corner of your RV, they can help you adjust the tire pressure, maybe down or up, whatever would work best for your RV.
But that's next week.
But that's next week's lesson. We won't get ahead of ourselves on that one.
It was hard to do this one because we were breaking it up between tire and weight safety. So join us next week for the weight one, because it goes hand in hand with what we're teaching you today.
Very important.
Yeah.
But start right here. If you don't know what tire pressure to go at, go what the manufacturer says for your tires, and make sure your tires are properly inflated to that pressure before you take off in the morning.
Yeah. So how do you do that?
Well, a couple ways you can do it with a tire monitoring system. Do we have slide of hours on there?
We do. Well, hold on. Okay. But the next slide, this is how we get our.
This is how we do it. We're going to talk about this since you got the slide up. This is an important thing. I wanted to put this in here because if you're in an RV and your tire pressure is so important, make sure you have a compressor that is easy to use and that you can get it out, in just a few minutes, fill up that tire where it needs to be.
But it can't be any compressor.
No, it's got to be for high pressure, because most air compressors probably would fill a tire, as long as they go over 100. Car tire for sure. Some will go up, but these particular compressors are made for RVs, are made for a high pressure tire. And this is one that I use. It's called Via Air. Very easy to plug in and use. I highly recommend taking a look at this. I think there's a link somewhere.
Yep, we put a link above the video.
Check it out. What I like about this one is that it's compact. You see the bag right there. It goes easily into that bag and stows away nicely. It's light. It's not very heavy. This is a great tool, and believe it or not, I use it just about all the time.
Well, I think there's nothing worse than, getting up in the morning, whether you're full-time or even on an RV trip, and you walk outside and your tire's low, and you're like, well, where am I going to go get this huge tire? Of course, depending on the size of your RV, inflated and, whatever. And just the whole drama that comes along with moving the RV, finding a place to put air in it. This is a great way of keeping it so that it's easy to do and easy to maintain.
Yeah, ever since we started RVing, we've had an air compressor of some sort. This is the one I showed you the picture is my absolute favorite. Now, the reason I say I use it all the time is that when you get up in the morning, it's as we're going into the fall, the temperatures are starting to drop a little bit. As the outside air temperature goes down, so does your tire pressure goes down a little bit. So when you start off on that trip in the morning, you might be a couple of pounds lower than you really should be. So,
well, I know back in our sticks and bricks life, right? You'd get in the car to go to work and it's cold outside, and all of a sudden your tire pressure is sensors going off and going, "Hey, I need air," and you're like, "But I'm pretty sure there's air in the tire." So it's that same thing. So and there is so much riding on your tires. And
before you leave the campground, you want to make sure you're right at your recommended pressure that your manufacturer set for you. That's very important.
And the fact that sometimes we go and camp for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then we're starting up again, it's even that much more important to monitor.
Yes.
That.
And another thing is that, you can get nails in your tire. Matter of fact, we've got 2 nails in our tires over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll create a slow leak. Now, it's obviously we get them taken care of, but during the process, if we're out camping somewhere, we could lose 30, 40 pounds of air pressure in a tire easily.
Mm-hmm. That's no fun.
That's no fun. That's why you got to have an air compressor.
That's right. So Bryan just said a minute ago, the next thing we're talking about is an easy way to keep your tires monitored. So,
yeah.
And it's a tire pressure monitoring system, also known as a TPMS.
TPMS. Those, when you get up early in the morning, before you have your coffee, you're ready to make your trip, go ahead and turn this thing on. It will take a few minutes for it to read all the tire pressures, and then you can look down at your little screen and you'll know exactly where your tires are. It makes it very convenient. And it's also, it's such a safety factor as well.
Well, otherwise you have to go out with that thing.
Yeah, the tire pressure.
Thing. Yeah, okay.
That thing.
You can tell I've done this. No.
She goes over.
I can read the screen on the tire pressure monitor, but that's
she doesn't go out and actually check it, that's for sure.
So,
but either way, you still need to check those tires. We do recommend finding some sort of a TPMS that will work for you. There's quite a few manufacturers out there. Matter of fact, I have a picture of one, if we can pull it up, of the one we use.
Yep. Well, let me get that.
That's it. Is it coming up? There it is. This company is RVI. It's got RVI brake. This is their tire patrol. And you can see the tire pressures I have here is I've been driving all day, and I just snapped this shot before I shut it down in the evening. You can see the tires have heated up, obviously, from travel. And kind of some of them are uneven, but that's just how they wearing on the road, or how the sun's hitting them, I guess. I'm not sure what the reason is behind that, but when I get up in the morning, all I got to do is turn this thing on and just look down at those numbers and see that they're, right about 100 PSI. If they're within 1 or 2 pounds, I don't worry about it. When it starts getting below 3, 4 pounds, then I'm out there putting a little air in the tire. I want to make sure that these things they're all the same and we're ready to go down the road.
So I just lost my train of thought, guys. Sorry. So when you're looking at, well, here, I'm going to put that screen back up. That's what I was going to say. Notice that there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tires.
Yes, 10 tires.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time today. 10 tires, because you're monitoring either your towed or your truck if you're pulling a towable.
Right.
Because you want all the tires monitored, not just the ones on the RV, but also the one that's attached to the RV, whether you're pulling or towing.
Yeah, that shows our car behind us, the towed, but it shows the pressure on that. As well as the RV itself, so we can see the whole thing as we're traveling down the road.
So that was what I really wanted to point out, was that it's important to do both pieces of your RV, because really they're included as one package when they're attached to each other.
Yeah, we talk about, we talked about cold air pressure, that it's when you get up in the morning, you just want to make sure that the sun hasn't been on your tires and start warming them up, and go out there and check them right before that happens, and you'll be in good shape.
So we've used a couple tire pressure monitoring systems. This particular one is, like you said, it's Tire Patrol. It's from RVI Brake. We use this one because it integrates with our braking system, because we flat tow. Now, you also can buy Tire Patrol separately, but if you are going to flat tow, it's a really cool system because it's all in one. We've also used Tire Minder, which is a good system too. And well, we had one on the original one, but that
was a different system. It was actually built into they were inside the tires.
Oh yeah, don't use one of those. That was bad news, because you can't replace the sensors. You want the sensors to be able to be replaced. So a good Tire Patrol and Tire Minder were awesome at their customer service, and they can help you get new sensors if the sensors are bad, which we actually had that happen. Right? Tell them about that.
Yeah, sensors can go bad easily. These are little things you screw onto your wheel. And in the one that we have now, each wheel is marked. They have a sensor marked for each wheel, which makes it very easy to set up. And there's a little battery inside them. After a year or so, these batteries are going to go dead. So you need to replace them.
Well, and I remember one of them, they sent you free batteries. So when you needed free new batteries, they would send them to you.
That was Tire Minder.
Tire Minder does that, yes.
Tire Minder was real good about that.
But also when we had the Tire Patrol and the things went bad, we called them and they immediately sent us brand new ones. Like it was they're great customer service. That's just
I mean, you got these sensors are good to have them replaced, because we've also lost one before because something hit the wheel and it took off. So that's just part of RVing.
That is part of RVing. So here is, and this is also above or below the video, depending on where you're watching. This is RVI Brake and the flat towing products. They have the Tire Patrol TPMS. And then we also have Techno RV, which are RVers like us, that they have a tire pressure monitoring system. It's a TST brand.
Yeah, we're looking at that system. Looks like a really good system as well.
So those are some good options for you to check out today. And again, make sure you cover all of your tires when you do that.
Yeah, recommend, I guess, if you take anything away from this, is keep your tires inflated right where they recommend, the manufacturer says they should be. And to make it easy for yourself, get yourself an air compressor of some type.
And a tire pressure monitoring system, so you don't have to use that thingy.
Use the tire gauge. That's it.
Okay, so those are our best tips today. So I know, like I said before, tire safety isn't super exciting, but if you're constantly monitoring your tires, you're going to avoid a potential problem in your life, because you can see when the pressures go up and you can do something about it before you have a blowout or a fire or anything like that.
Yeah, blowouts are very dangerous for an RV, especially the size of tires we're running. They're big, heavy tires. A blowout can create a lot of damage to your RV itself.
Yes.
Far more than the cost of that tire.
Right. And then, of course, we're talking your life.
Your life's a danger as well.
There's no money worth that. So, okay. So before we go to see who's live, because I want to talk to some people, we don't want you to miss out on next week. The RV Living Show is going to be all about RV weight safety. They go in hand, tire and weight. And we want to review that with you next week and give you some of our best tips for that. So please join us next week at 2 p.m. Wednesday on our almost weekly live show.
Yeah, weight safety will be really good. You don't want to miss it.
That's right. Oh, and also above or below this video, if you're just getting started RVing and you want to know more about it or maybe enhance your life in a different way, we have 3 roadmaps for you, and they're free, and you can link to them in the video description. and click on that and pick one that's best for your RV journey and get some more tips for your RV life. All right, so let's go to see who's in the comments. Oh, thanks, Bridget says, was wondering what all those numbers are. Yeah, right. So it's kind of like that thingy, like, what are these numbers? So I'm with you, girl. That's right. The compressor is a great idea, Bridget says. I have a monitor, but not a compressor. The link isn't sending me to a place where I can purchase it, though. Oh, well, you know what? I'll fix that. As soon as we're done, I'll do that. So how do you know, Kelly says, how do you know if the pressure temperature is too high?
That's a good question. I've always noticed that on the RV tires, when I set them to the like 100 psi is what my RV runs at. Early in the morning at 100 psi, I'll start out. During the day, they'll climb 15 to as much as 20 psi, depending on where they're riding on the RV. This seems to be normal. I don't think I think if you set your temperature where it's supposed to be, even though they'll climb during the day, because obviously the day is warming up, the road itself, the run down the road, the road's going to warm up your tires, they'll be in good shape. I've never noticed anybody saying that it's too high a tire pressure as much as
the temperature.
Temperature, right. You do, they kind of go hand in hand. Temperature and tires,
but the monitoring system, if they got too hot, would announce it to you. It would tell you over. Yes. Because when you put in the settings, you put in the settings for your tire, and then it will monitor and tell you if it's getting too hot.
Yeah, and I also think if you went to the manufacturer and pulled the specs off of that tire, I'm sure there's got to be some data right there that would tell you that. It'd be something really,
to makes it, what is really hot versus what's acceptable.
Yes, I've noticed some of these people I've talked about tires could go as much as double the pressure. I don't know if that's true. That's something I would definitely want to check out.
Oh, well, way before it got to double.
Yeah.
Well, good question.
Good question.
And Leslie says she just bought an easy tire system waiting for it to arrive. Well, great. Glad you're taking care of yourself, because we find that there's a great peace of mind by having this installed, because we can see everything at one glance. It does let us know when either we lose pressure in a tire or when it gets too high, and we can monitor it and go check on it and see, well, why is it getting too hot? So it's been a great investment, and it is an investment. They're a couple $100, but compared to what your damage on your RV or your life is, it's a non-negotiable.
Right. I mean, plus in the morning, excuse me, you get up, you don't want to get outside, it may be raining, you still can check your tires without actually getting wet.
Yes, convenience. Right?
The convenience of it.
Oh, perfect. Well, y'all, thank you so much for joining us today. We've enjoyed being with you, and we just sort of want to remind you again that if you have questions and you're watching the replay, go ahead and post them in the comments. We'll be happy to answer them, and we'll see you next week on the RV Living Show. Thanks again for joining us.
See you there.
Bye-bye.